what in Queer Nation is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Queerality, the #1 all-queer talk show here on the internet. We cover everything from politics and pop culture to media and beyond. I'm your host with quite possibly the least, Rikki Blank. Pleasure to see you all again. Whether this is your first time listening or even a longtime listener of the show, thank you for tuning in, and just know you're one of God's chosen people. So just a couple of housekeeping things before we get into our episode today. If you'd like what you'd see and you'd like to connect with myself or our guests, tip us, connect with one of our affiliated charities, or even sponsor the show, you can text Queerality to 850-695-4287. Again, that's 850-69-LGBTQ, and it'll take you directly to our landing page. Do it now. It'll make you feel really good about yourself, I promise. All right, guys, check this. We have a great guest in studio with us today. He's an incredible singer-songwriter, and he's back with a new single celebrating nerdy bears called, you guessed it, Nerdy Bear. Give it up for Tom Goss. Alrighty, so first question here. So just how's quarantine been treating you? How's life right now?
It's been pretty good. It's been up and down. I mean, the first month was rough, and then you kind of start to settle into a new life. My husband and I just went on this 6-week road trip to like rural America, like all the places that you would never have time to go to. So that was fun, and we've been home for like 3 days now. So yeah, we've been making the most of it.
Lucky. I literally have not left my apartment, I think, probably since like late March.
But you go outside to get groceries or go for a walk or stuff, right?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, like I've done odd things here and there, but for the most part, yeah, it's been pretty dark in here. So
yeah, it's been rough. Early on, I was really enjoying just like walking around the neighborhood and taking pictures of flowers. Where are you located?
We're all in Las Vegas. So me, Russ, here that you just met, yeah, we're all Vegas.
Yeah, that can be a little oppressive in terms of the heat. But I don't really know what your flora looks like. But my neighborhood is on the west side of LA, and it's really nice and cool in the morning. And I was just going around taking pictures of all the flowers. Like that was like every day for months. It was like my jam.
Yeah, it's I just checked. It's 106 out right now, so no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I think when everything first shut down, especially because like that was sort of like an unprecedented thing for like the Strip to just go dead completely. So like it was kind of like everyone's little like hobby that everyone kind of went on these little like photo safaris for a while.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. I took pictures of sunflowers like last week. I was like, this is great.
I wish I could be so lucky. It's all dirt over here. So
yeah, Las Vegas is rough. Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder. But all right, so several other publications who covered your new single "Nerdy Bear" has said something along the lines of like, finally bears are getting the recognition they deserved in the media. And so, as someone who's sung rather extensively about them, is their underrepresentation something that you're cognizant about when you're writing?
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, 100%. I mean, I believe that attraction and physical attraction is learned behavior. It's not something that we're just born with. In terms of body types. And so, if you think about men of size, you don't ever see a man of size in a romantic lead. Period. End of story. I mean, you'll see him as a villain, you'll see him as a foil, you'll see him as a comedian. But you never see him as somebody that's to be taken serious romantically. And for me, as somebody who's attracted to men of size, I feel like it's important for me to even, obviously in something like Nerdy Bear, I'm going to cast a bear. But even in something that's not referencing a bear, I'm always going to be casting bears as my romantic counterpart, just because that's how I personally feel. And I want to give people something different. I want to show people that there's different kinds of beauties. It's just not all one body shape, and one color. It's like all of the races, all of the sizes, and so I'm doing my part to help put that in the forefront. So yeah, it's definitely a conscious decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I loved all the videos that you've done so far. I loved your video with Daniel Francesi.
Yeah. We actually did 3 together in the past year, and it's been great. And again, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I love bears, give me a bear. I'm literally just casting him as my romantic counterpart because he's gorgeous and he's talented and he should be represented as such. Somebody like Danny Francesi, who's been in so many things and is so iconic in so many ways, should be cast as a romantic lead. Period. End of story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the things that's kind of, I don't know if you, I guess it's sort of like a hinge issue here, where I think the gay community has done a lot of incredible things in terms of sort of taking everything about people of sizes or different ethnicities or whatever, and kind of like turning it into like a subgroup, like something to sort of be loved about another person. But at the same time, a lot of that does run sort of on like the fence of like fetishization at the same time. And so I think it's really important to sort of do things like what you're doing, where
I think it's really interesting as we as a community, as the LGBTQ community, has become more accepted by the world as a whole. We have spent a lot of our time segmenting ourselves so that we are discriminatory against ourselves. You know, if you go back in time, you know, we were just all together. You know, you look at men and women and big and little and all the races. Like you had to stick together because the community was so small. That's still what I love about going to small towns or playing a pride in a very small town or a very small city. You go to their one gay bar in town and everybody's there. And I really love that. And I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice by segmenting ourselves. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why would we, of people who've been discriminated against for so many years, choose to discriminate against ourselves?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I like you grew up in a very, very small town as well. Seriously, like one gay bar within, you know, miles and miles and miles of everything else, and have that really sort of exact same sort of like formative experience where, you know, it would not only be the gays, the straights, people of color, lesbians, trans people, but then also like all of their straight allies and even the people who were sort of otherwise like ostracized from all the other areas of the community too. And I think that's even so important. I mean, and one thing that I, you know, may get a lot of like flack for is that I sometimes do think that the definition of, you know, queerness, obviously that extends beyond the realm of, you know, heteronormativity, but I also think it needs to expand even just beyond the realm of just like acceptance within just like modern like straight like culture in general. Like there are so many other things, like the nerds, for example, like can easily just be a part of the, you know, quote unquote queer community because of their lack of adherence to just, you know, like normal.
You're talking about nerds that are also heterosexual.
Yeah. Just any like anybody who's willing to be an ally who maybe isn't necessarily a part of mainstream culture could also sort of be considered.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Victorville, California.
Oh, I feel like I've driven through that a bunch of times, but I have no idea where it is. Is it north of San Francisco?
No, it's way, way south. So like if you're driving south from like Vegas to like try to get to LA or anywhere else.
Yeah.
We're sort of like a gas station town.
Oh, is it on 15?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I've driven by it a bunch of times. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, it's interesting out there. Is that by the big solar panel thing?
Still a bit south of that, probably about like an hour and a half or so.
Okay, God, that thing is rad.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you're familiar with sort of like the Inland Empire-y area, like we're technically like a part of that. We're about like 15 minutes north of that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
All right, so back to it. So as far as the video for Nerdy Bear goes, which I absolutely loved the video. I thought it was really entertaining. It did mention that you had to audition people for the part of your bear counterpart. So what was that process like? How much fun did you have?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure it was an audition. I mean, I was in California and everybody was in New York, so it's not like I'm seeing any of these people in person. It's mostly just me looking at pictures. That's really well it really was. I would call it more of a casting than an audition. And I was, you know, I was talking to a couple of my friends in town. I was also talking to Jason, Jason Romas, who's the owner of Rock Bar, NYC, and I was asking him who he thought might be good for the role, and we were getting all these ideas, and I had just hired Cataline, who was the director of photography. He actually sent me Jason. His name's also Jason. He sent me Jason's pictures, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my God, that's him. There's no question about it in my mind. And sometimes, I've worked with Michael Serrato, the director, a lot, and sometimes we have a little back and forth. But I was like, we have got to cast this guy. He's so cute. And he was like, you like him that much? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay. And I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love anyone who has like a really like expressive like face and eyes, and he like totally just like captured that for me. He was adorable.
Yeah, so cute. And one of my favorite moments was we met the day before. I came into town. I met with Michael, the director, Cataline, the director of photography, and Jason, who's the Nerdy Bear. And we all just had lunch. And then we went back to the apartment, and I gave him the Mario suit. And I said, hey, let's see how this fits, And then I started talking to Michael, and he put the suit on, and I turned around, and he was just in the suit. And I was like, holy shit. Because he looks exactly like Mario. Exactly. You can't really tell because all of our Mario shots are pretty far away. But I wish, in retrospect, we would have done a close-up because it was just like mind-blowing.
And speaking of Mario, were you always the guy who picked Princess Peach in all the games growing up too?
I would say that Princess Peach is my go-to in Mario Kart for sure. But otherwise, I didn't really play Mario Party. I'm a little too old for that. Mario Party, in which the fighting one? Oh my god!
Brothers?
Huh?
Super Smash Brothers?
Super Smash Bros. I even referenced it in the fucking song, and I forgot the title of it. But yeah, like that, like Super Smash Bros. Is just like chaos. Like, so I never really got into it again. I'm a little old for that, but yeah, no, Princess was never my girl in Smash Brothers. But who I was always the girl in is Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I love the girls because the girls are fast. There's like the girl in Street Fighter who kicks and she's like, and then there's the girl with the fan in Mortal Kombat, and they were always my jam because I'm like, I just wait. This is me. I'm actually really good at these games, but I never play them because I just wait, punch, wait, kick, and people like get so pissed at me because I don't actually play. I just kind of wait for the opportunity and hit you 200 times, like very slowly, and then avoid getting hit. So it's pretty funny.
So in terms of being, I guess, kind of a nerd yourself, so like what's your fandom of choice? What's your poison?
Zelda. The Legend of Zelda is like would be in terms of like an arc of a story and something that I always love. That would be my jam. I'm 39 years old, so I grew up in the original Nintendo era, and so Zelda and Mario will always be like very important to me in that way. But I will say, as I've gotten older, I've loved the Mario games. I can't even think of the newest one, but it was amazing where you could be all the different characters. Mario, not Mario Galaxy, but I don't remember. I'm super bad with names of things. I loved it. It was super fun, but it still didn't hold a breath. It still didn't hold a candle to like Breath of the Wild, and that was just like. I always loved the Zelda games. Like, get totally immersed. I have a projector in my house. I played Breath of the Wild like 12 feet tall and 15 feet wide. Like,
lucky.
Like Link was as big as me. It was pretty amazing.
And then in terms of obviously talking about sort of like nerdy things on more of the queer spectrum, are you aware of any like gay creators right now or people that are making any sort of like gay, like comics or media or anything that you're...
Yeah, the only one that I can think of offhand is a very dear friend of mine. His name is Yusuf, and he goes by Newbevel, Newbvl, and he does a lot of animation. A lot of it is very video game centric. We play a lot of video games together, and we talk a lot about video games and music. And he's been my friend for a very long time. And we knew each other in DC, and then he went off to New York to become an animator and a graphic designer. And he is doing amazing work. Like the last video he made, I had to watch like 4 times, and I just kept crying because he's doing these like cute animated shorts, but he's got such a powerful story. He's Iranian and he's gay, and he's like a twin, and his mother died giving birth to him, and like all of these really interesting things that are now coming out in his work. Early on, he was doing stuff that was cute, but I would say like a little bit derivative. And now I feel like he's really coming to his own, and I'm super proud of him. Yeah.
Oh, you'll definitely have to send me his stuff then when we're done with this. I'd love to.
Yeah, for sure.
There's actually a guy that I just heard an interview with not too long ago that you probably really like too. He's another bear type guy. His name's Graham Colbeans, and he's a documentarian, and he's done a lot of work exploring sort of like LGBTQ culture in Japan, and then also the people who do animation for like queer manga.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So he's on. I'll have to link you his website.
Is he American?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he's a white guy, bearded, but yeah, just has like a huge like fascination and love of Japanese culture.
Okay, Japan's fucking dope. I did actual Mario Kart. Have you ever seen this thing on the internet?
Oh yeah, I think so.
you get dressed up. Like I dressed up in a Luigi costume, and my husband dressed up in a Yoshi costume, and you get in these go-karts and you go-kart around Tokyo, and it is batshit crazy because you know how you think I don't know. I thought when you play Mario that they invented all these things. Like, oh, they thought this left turn arrow looked cute, or the side of the road looked cute. It's like, no, that's literally just how it looks. They were just making the roads, and it was crazy because you're like in this go-kart, totally unprotected, not even with a helmet, and there's like semi trucks running. You could like go under the semi, and it's like not safe at all. But it was one of my favorite experiences of my life. I'm not even gonna lie, it was so fun.
And wait, so is this like a legal like sanctioned thing? Because like I've seen the videos of people like doing it like illegally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a group that does it. There's a company that does it. I'm pretty sure they've been given cease and desist by Nintendo on several different occasions, and I don't know how it's road legal, but yeah, you could do it. You know, at one point in time, I remember, you know, when Tokyo's so compact. I remember at some point in time looking up at a bridge and thinking, oh, wow, that looks really cool up there. And then going up on a ramp. And then 10 seconds later, realizing like, oh, I'm going on that bridge that's like 100 feet in the air. And while I'm going on this ginormous on-ramp, I'm like passing 10-story windows that are like 3 feet away from you because everything's so compressed. And it's just like the whole thing was like a total trip.
Okay, bucket list is down now. I know what I need to do.
Yeah, you have to do it, and even if you die when you do it, totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah, honestly, like if I die doing that, I'm okay with it at this point. So, okay, kind of a pivot here. So, you performed in one of my favorite places in the world, Provincetown. Mm-hmm. Several times. So how long have you been performing there? When were you first asked to?
The first time I performed there was 2013. And I played at the Crown and Anchor, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And in 2013 is when my music video Bears came out. So we shot that in late June and then actually did a 9-day turnaround edit on it to get it out before Bear Week at Provincetown. And that was my first. I've always loved P-Town. It's a really wonderful place. My husband's from Western Massachusetts, so I had been there and been to the Cape even before I was performing there. And it's just a gorgeous place and such a chill place and such an open and accepting place, especially Provincetown. And to perform there is pretty wonderful. Actually, you get to be with your people all the time. You can't walk down the street without running into 100 friends. Like I'm not even exaggerating. And so, it can be a little overwhelming, but it's also quite wonderful.
And so when you're out there, I mean, as a performer, are you doing kind of like the same thing that all the other queens are doing who are doing their residencies, or where you're out there?
No, I don't do like a whole summer residency. I'll go for the week of Bear Week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So, okay, I guess another kind of hard pivot here. So Kenosha, Wisconsin. What was that like growing up?
I loved it, to be honest. It was great. I've always, I mean, I feel like I'm a Midwesterner through and through in so many ways, and I'm grateful for that. The way that I perceive the world and the way that my outlook on life is very much rooted in my Midwestern upbringing. And I've lived on the West Coast and I've lived on the East Coast for a big chunk of my life. Um, Almost as much as I've lived in the Midwest at this point in time, but I do really appreciate the values of the Midwest, and I am really happy that I grew up there. I also think, I always was an athlete growing up, and those kind of places really focus on athletics, and I know that's really detrimental for a lot of people in the LGBT community, but it wasn't for me. I think I really loved it. I loved being able to constantly be playing sports and to constantly be running around, and that is always something that has brought me a lot of joy. So for me, it was a really wonderful place. And Kenosha, as a town, was always in Wisconsin historically has always been very progressive, and so I don't feel like I got a lot of messaging that being gay was bad or being gay was wrong. I always knew that my mom went to the big white party in town, and she would always talk fondly about her cousin who was gay, and so my family didn't give me that kind of messaging, and I don't think I felt it a lot growing up. I'm sure it was there, but not so much that it really affected me. I think when I go home now, it feels like it has pivoted a lot more conservative, and it feels oftentimes not like the place that I know and love, and that's sad. As an adult, it's sad to go back. As a child, I felt like it was wonderful.
And that's kind of an interesting take. And I mean, given the fact that especially you were about to go to seminary, so how did that decision come about?
Well, I went to seminary. I was in seminary for a year and a half. I wrestled in college, so I went to college in Missouri to wrestle. Missouri was a much more, to me, closed-minded and conservative and backwards place. I never thought that I was particularly cultured growing up in Kenosha, but when I got to Missouri, I realized that I was far more cultured than I had understood. And my family's always been really open, and we always travel a lot, so that was a little bit of a culture shock for me. But when I was in college, I just I was wrestling down there, and that was really my main focus. But I was also getting a degree, and I got a degree in social studies education, and I was thinking about my future life and what that looked like, and it looked like me moving back to Kenosha and getting a job as a teacher and coaching wrestling, and none of that felt fulfilling to me. None of that really felt like that's who I was or that's who I was aspiring to be. And I was really enjoying my time with the Newman Center, which is a Catholic campus ministry, almost because it was kind of like diametrically opposed to wrestlers who are always like drinking and smoking and fucking and fighting, and everybody at the Newman Center was like, let's talk about social justice. And I was like, yeah, let's do something that's like intellectually just stimulating. That's like, let's talk about philosophy and religion, and so I was really into it. And so the idea came to me to like, I wasn't attracted to women, but I didn't really think I was attracted to men either. Of course, I was showering with 60 guys every single day, and I didn't find them attractive because they looked like me. They were young, they were fit, they were like the epitome of what we see in an Abercrombie and Fitch catalog, but it doesn't do anything for me sexually. So I just assumed that I was asexual, and I always wanted to create an impact in the world and an impact on people's lives. And what better way to do that than be a Catholic priest? You get to be with people in the most important moments of their lives, and you get to create a huge impact. And for me, celibacy wasn't really a thing, so I joined the Catholic seminary.
And then you said you were there for about a year and a half then. So, I mean, what was the turning point, sort of like, the crux of like...
It was horrible. That was literally like the worst people I ever met in my life. And it was a point. It was a point. I say that with no feelings. It's just like the facts. You know what I mean? It's like 1 + 1 is 2. And but
I mean, I went to Catholic school and Baptist school literally from kindergarten to 12th grade. I know those people. Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And I mean, I don't regret any of it. I'm really grateful for the experience in a lot of ways because I don't think it was right for me. And I had some people in seminary that wanted relationships with me in a way that I didn't want with them, and you could read between the lines there. And I think had that not happened, and had it not gotten so bad, I finally the straw that broke the camel's back was I woke up at 3 a.m. and one of my classmates was in my room wanting to talk about our relationship, and it was weird. I essentially had my neighbor stalking me, and thank God for that, because otherwise I would have spent 5, 6, 7 years there before I left, and that would have sucked. So I'm glad that it was horrible because I got out in a year and a half, and I started pursuing something which I think still has allowed me to impact the world in a positive way.
Sorry, and then what's your current involvement with the church right now? I mean, would you say that you're still active with them?
No, I have no involvement with the church.
Right on. And then, so you're currently doing a bunch of work on other projects to aid the community and help other queer people tell their stories right now. So tell us more about that. What do you have going on?
Well, I'm always writing with other people, but I think the thing that I've done that I'm in many ways the most proud of was I directed a music video for a friend and an artist. His name is Jake Castro, and one of the things that's been really interesting as I've gotten older and I guess gotten more experienced in this business is the fact that I have all this knowledge and I have all these tools and I have all this know-how, and I want to use it to help elevate other people's voices. So, Jake came to me and was asking me about a video, and I said, hey, let's do it. I'll direct it for you. And it was just so inspiring to work with him and to see an entirely new generation of queer people, and to be a part of that creation experience and to learn from them as to how they're expressing themselves and how they're seeing the world. And I hope to continue to do more of that.
Mm-hmm. And you and I are sort of at a very interesting point age-wise, because we're almost sort of like young enough to have been able to see the old guard, but also still kind of close enough in age to see what all the new kids are doing now. What are some of the biggest differences you see in how people now are wanting to sort of like tell their stories?
There's a freedom there.
Mm-hmm.
There's like just this amazing carefreeness that I'm not sure that I had. I'm not saying that I was ever, my artistic expression was ever confined or batted down. I mean, there was definitely places that I couldn't play or places that I had a hard time booking because they didn't book fags, and that's what they would tell me. But I do think that especially like pre-2010, I was writing songs about love and my love to a man, and I was writing songs about marriage equality and other social justice issues, but I was certainly packaging it in a way where a mainstream audience could process it. I was packaging it in a way in which my Midwestern family and friends could watch it and go like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I've got this wrong. Whereas now people don't give a fuck. And I love that. They're just like, I'm queer as fuck. You can't confine me to a gender. I'm going to wear what I want. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. And that's the norm. And I fucking love that. I feel like that's a really wonderful place to be. And I'm excited to see what this generation does with art and music and our culture.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And then wrapping up here. So what does the rest of 2020 look like for you right now? Yeah, I know. Try to Try to squeeze your mind around that one for a second.
I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to be healthier in terms of my my commitment to fitness and nutrition, and I'm gonna try to make more art. And I have no idea what the rest of this year holds. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be at home a lot. Pretty sure I'm gonna be with my husband a lot, and that's okay. I've really had to do some really hard adjustments to be comfortable with what COVID life is like, and I'm not really seeing it going away anytime soon. So I think more than anything, I'm going to try to be a little nicer to myself.
That sounds good. I think that's hilarious that you're saying you're about to go like focus more on your fitness. I'm literally about to leave and go cancel my gym membership after this. Okay, so I live next to like a really big park that has like a huge like living area, and so there's a lot of actual like room, especially in my apartment complex, to exercise and everything. And it's like I don't need it.
That's great, and I think and that's really what I mean. I mean, because see this room that I'm in. This is my studio. This is my living room. This has been my gym. And it's like I'm just feeling really limited to what I could do, and I'm getting really bored of it. So I've been trying to figure out like how to work out outside and how to work out responsibly and how to work out in ways where I can use some equipment. And part of being good to myself is just kind of accepting how my body's changing, and that's okay. I think we all are dealing with that.
Thank you so much for the interview. It was a ton of fun talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know how I can send you new Bevel stuff. I'd love to send it your way.